Mhm. As you said, I mean, having an internal person dealing with the website piece,
Hmm.
website development piece is quite. I find it quite risky, and also, as you said, I mean, your team or like another website outsource website development team is just too much focus on that side of the business, right? They are the real experts of that topic. So
Right.
you know that they get all the updates, they are up to speed. So yeah, I completely agree that putting somebody in-house, especially if you are not at the enterprise level,
Right.
doesn't make too much sense. And on the other hand, I mean, like on the website projects that I handled with my
Hmm.
clients, it's a very detailed and technical process, and it
Yes.
takes time. And it's important to have somebody that's managing the process outside for you. What's the duration? I mean, I know it depends on every business, but what's the duration to build up a website for a small business, let's say?
Yeah, yeah. So if it's a standard WordPress website, not complex and anything, and I know I have to define complex, but I won't do it on this here just to save us some time. But I always say it's going to take us 4 to 8 weeks to get it completed from
Mhm,
start to finish. And that's a
mhm,
lot of cushion time. A lot of cushion time. I don't think a website should take longer than 8 weeks to be completed.
mhm, mhm,
It should definitely not take 6 months or a year to be completed. I just think someone's just not prioritizing the project and it's hurting marketing and sales. So overall, the business, right? Um, but I say 4 to 8 weeks, and that's a lot of cushion time because the reality is, if I didn't have any projects, we can get it done in 24 hours.
wow.
But I tell our prospective clients 4 to 8 weeks because there's a lot of back and forth with the client. So we go through a design phase. One, we get all the content first from the client because sometimes they want to update their website copy. Sometimes they want to update images, whatever it
Mhm,
is, right? Campaigns. But we make sure that is 100% completed. And then once we receive the website content, we then go into the design phase where we do mockups. And then once the mockup is approved by the client, because we'll go back and forth on revisions, we then go into the development phase where we build it on the staging environment. I call it a construction site so no one sees it. And then once that's built, the client gives us the approval. We then launch it for them.
mhm.
But the thing that takes the longest is the client feedback, going back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes they're busy. You know this as an
Yeah,
entrepreneur yourself. Sometimes they're busy. Sometimes they have other top priority
yeah.
items on their list. So it's us making sure that one, we're tackling everything and meeting the deadlines. But also the understanding for the customer too is like, we're going to adjust the timeline accordingly if there's any delays too. Like we can't have the same launch date if it takes you longer. Like things have to move further out. So we try to communicate that as much as possible. But I
Mhm,
think our whole goal is to make sure, boom, 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 here's the timeline ahead of time, even in our agreements.
mhm,
This is what's realistic. Um, and we can do it, but we always call it an estimated timeline of completion just because things happen. And then sometimes the customer's feedback might take longer than expected too. But they also, if you
mhm.
think about it too, right? They also need to talk to their team about the feedback, right? The
Yeah.
CEO, if they want to include the CEO. So a lot of people's feedback they have to gather, and that all takes time too. So when you deal with more of the B2B companies, they're kind of more, there's more people involved in the project, which easily can take longer. But I've seen it is doable. You could get the project done in 4 weeks, um, or even less if you come in prepared and you're meeting the deadlines. I've seen it
Mhm.
happen so many times.